that they have the right knowledge, equipment, tools, and in order for them to keep going in adventure. So I'm going to share with you just a little bit of a video that we have done about a month ago, a trip that we have done, and I'm sure all of you would like to do that. Okay.
Boy, be careful when you're putting your feet. This is the real experience. When you can carry your own things, your house, your kitchen, your bed and everything,
Yep.
that's an experience.
How do you feel about it? Is that something you would like to try in your life? Yeah? Yeah? So basically, adventure overall is an experience. You can go to beautiful place, but also you got to make sure that you respect the environment and respect the terrain. So there's so much behind it. It's a 2-minute video, but there's so much learning and preparation behind this. So I'm going to go to the next slide to tell you a little bit about the history. In 1760, there was a group of scientists. Before airplane, before helicopter, before anybody could fly on a mountain, they wanted to know what glacier was all about. And that's where adventure really started, as mountaineering in Switzerland. And mountain is not a place to play. It's a place that have a lot of meanings for indigenous people, and it's a place to be feared because of the danger that surrounds you. So, how many of you have been on a hike here, apart from Warwick? Have you been on a hike? Have you been camping outdoors? Yeah, Neil, I'm sure, have been. Before we started camping, people have been always living in the mountain, all around the world, and these are people that need to be respected. There are various ways of traveling in the mountain. One of them is the cultural tourism or cultural adventure. So, one of the difficulties people really face in the mountain is their economy. They are really suffering and struggling because it's a place which is great, have a great exclusion. Secondly, people that live on the mountain around the world are really suffering. They are facing poverty because there's not much movement when it comes to development for themselves because they're very far away from civilization. And the third point is the communication are very poor. They don't have access to hospitals, they don't have access to the urban life, they don't have access to shopping mall, they don't have access to all of that. So we have come up with a conclusion along the way is to develop adventure tourism. Adventure tourism is us who's going directly to these people in order for them to make some money and to sustain and survive. Let's look at the indigenous people. In each of these pictures, these people has been living in high altitude. And it's not easy. Living in high altitude means living above 2,500 meters above sea level. Sometimes you see somebody taking a flag, goes to a mountain and a peak, which is only 4,000 meters, and they post it all over on Instagram, on Facebook, and everywhere. It's an achievement because we are called the lowland people, and they are the highlanders. This is the inventory of the indigenous tribe around the world. How many people do you think live in the mountain around the world in terms of millions? Give me a number. 2 million. 75. 20 million. You'll be surprised. $140 million people live above 2,500 meters, including the Philippines, Nepal, South America, and Europe, and different countries around the world. But these people have something very unique, which we as lowlanders don't have. They have got something called a genetic adaptation. Their lungs has got bigger, their breathing is different, and these people can live until 6,000 meters on the mountain without having any acute mountain sickness. But they do suffer from another sickness, which we don't get. If we go to a mountain, we say we're going to go to 5,000 meters, we're going to do acclimatization, which means our body need to adapt to the low level of oxygen in order for us to be able to continue the journey. But these people doesn't need to do that. They can go straight away from 10 years old all the way up. They have no problem. These people come from their ancestors that has been living in these mountainous areas, and they have developed a ways of living that even they go to Olympic from Kenya, from Ethiopia, they are highlanders, they're always winning the 5 kilometers and 10 kilometers. Because when they come on the ground level, for them it's very easy. The level of oxygen that we have on the ground, it's too much for them. So therefore they can easily run very easily, Varik. Yeah? Welcome. The last point is an increase of blood vessel diameter. Our blood vessel carries oxygen that distributes around the body, and this oxygen is making us basically to have more fuel to burn in order for us to continue. But their vessels are much wider than us. I'm going to show you a video of some ladies. People were saying that in order to climb, you should be absolutely fit. I agree, but you should not be looking like a model. It doesn't matter how you look like. It's made for everybody. Because the outdoors is made for every single person. Because if you say it's made for a certain type of people, you embarrass a certain type of people in the society. So we're going to play the video for you to see how these people look like and how they're climbing. You'll be surprised by these women. Their dress. Yep.
Me llamo Jimena Lidia Huellas, me dedico a escalar montañas. Bueno, nuestra vestimenta es así, de la cholita paseña. La cholita tenemos un sombrero, tenemos una manta, un prendedor que siempre también lo usamos, los aretes que no puede faltar. Nosotros hemos hecho una asociación de puras mujeres y cholitas escaladoras. Somos actualmente 11 cholitas. Más antes nosotros íbamos como cocineras de alta montaña, pero siempre teníamos ese deseo, ¿no?, de ir a la cumbre y ver cómo se sentía allá, ¿no? En diciembre del 2015 lo hicimos. Bueno, nos estamos poniendo las botas y ahora nos vamos a poner el crampón. No nos vamos a sacar la vestimenta de la cholita porque así queremos escalar. Para mí es lo más hermoso que una mujer puede sentirse. Bueno, mis hijos pues piensan que estoy un poco loquita. Porque me dicen, mamá, a tu edad estás queriendo hacer estas cosas. Bueno, yo les digo, para hacer tantas cosas no es impedimento de la edad. Cuando vamos a escalar nos sentimos libres de todo.
What does that tell you? Mohammed. It's for everybody. It's for everyone. We sometimes go to a shop and buy more gears than what we need. We over-equip ourselves, but actually we don't succeed the climb that we're supposed to be done. Like I said, these ladies are basically, they have been climbing all their life. They have climbed 6,921 meters. I repeat, 6,921 meters. I'm not talking about climbing Jebel Jais or Jebel Hafid. So it tells you that they have a genetic adaptation that we don't have. For them, it's very easy. And many of the very fit people in the world cannot do what they do, technically, physically, mentally, emotionally. If we want to go for such expedition, it requires a lot of preparation. And we might face death with the acute mountain sickness. So you could see here, the level of oxygen drops in every areas. What I'm exactly talking about, on the ground level here, at 5,280 feet, the oxygen level is fair. But the more we go up, see the oxygen level is 32%. Here it drops to 33, and these ladies was going around this area, 55%. Means their body can resist to any oxygen level that they need to in order to keep moving. Technically, I'm not going to go very detailed into the technical words, but I'm going to explain it briefly to you to understand what I'm talking about. Here is the foothill. In UAE, basically, we're climbing approximately here, which is called a subalpine zone in that area, which is very comfortable, easy, 1,800 meters. But when we go to other countries, when we get into the alpine zone, who knows what is alpine zone? What does it mean, alpine zone? Anyone can tell that? The alpine zone, the tree grow very lower. Because the tree start having less oxygen, you will have less wildlife on that level of on the altitude on the mountain. From the alpine zone all the way up, that's where it gets really difficult. So, I'm gonna finish for her. So, whatever we're eating, whatever is growing in the land, are being made by farmers and people that lives around us, whether it's in a plain, in a village, on the mountain, and a hill. But every single altitude above sea level have something to grow, and that's what the people feed themselves from. If we go to the mountain, we can't. We won't know what food to find, how to cook it, and how to start a fire, because we don't have that skills. So from the ground, So on the ground level, this is what we're eating. This is what is growing here. That's where our comfort zone is all about. But the ladies that I showed you just now was climbing. This is where they are growing their potatoes, the barley and the wheat. And the higher you grow, the higher you start not having food, basically. Whenever we're going to the mountain, whether we're going to Nepal, we're going to the Andes, we're going anywhere, there will always be food all the way to 3,800 meters. And we're going to respect the terrain as well. What's happening along the years, there has been new activities coming to games. There has been a lot of posting on Instagram. There has been a lot of posting all over the social media. But I'm going to skip the video right now. So, all these people are posting what they succeed for. But nobody's telling you what they suffered from. Because they're very proud and they don't want to share their difficulties. When you will buy that experience, you will buy it because it looks beautiful and look great for the pictures. If you see that, you said, I'm going to do it and I'm going on top. No matter what, I'm going to finish it. But no one has told you what you can face. Have you seen anyone posting from a summit telling the truth about what happened? Have you seen that? Have you seen a lot of posts, people telling you how much their guide supported them? No one. They come back, all they are doing is hunting and fighting for likes and promoting the post about the achievement. But no one will tell you about the safety and the life-threatening situation which is behind it. There are two very important factors. I faced it, I've suffered from it, and I'm not shy to tell you that I stopped many expeditions because of that. So we have something called the CMS and the EMS. We as lowland, like I mentioned from the beginning, you suffer from acute mountain sickness. Whenever you're going for an expedition, anyone is telling you keep moving, and you can't. He will tell you you need to overcome your fears and you need to keep moving, but it's not true. You got to do a self-assessment, knowing exactly what you're suffering from, because my body, each of us here, our bodies are different. So definitely we cannot follow what my friend is telling me. I got to follow what I have to do. 90% of climbers around the world, 90% of climbers around the world suffer from acute mountain sickness. But very few people are talking about it because they are too proud to tell their failures. They are too proud to tell people how much they struggled. But the truth is, an expedition is a challenge to overcome. CMS, it's called the chronic mountain sickness. These people who are indigenous to the mountain, they suffer from the chronic mountain sickness because they live for too high, for too long, and therefore they start getting sick. And they're going to come down to live a little bit in lower altitude, and then they can go back. And this is what we call acclimatization. So, if you ever go on an expedition and you are really struggling and you can't continue, the steps that I've put here are the basics. I'm not going to go very technical, but this is what you need to do. If you do that, the next morning you can continue your journey. One of the most important things here is to go down in lower altitude, at least 200 meters, sleep for a night, 12 hours, and go back again. But do not continue. On Everest, friends that I have working on Everest as guide, last year, because of the global warming, most of the glaciers are melting and many bodies are coming out from the ice. And you can see it on the internet. So one of my friends who's a guide on Everest collected last year, they did a cleaning, 16 bodies. They collected 16 bodies that was lost on the mountain for years and years, more than 20 years. And these people were never found, but nobody speak about it. Sorry. There are various things that happen to you when you go on the mountain in high altitude. One of the most common symptoms that you will face is your blood becomes thicker. Do you know why your blood becomes thicker? Why does it get more ticks? Okay. All right, great. Another answer? Less oxygen, that's right. Your blood gets thicker because it doesn't have enough oxygen. It becomes very thick, and what happened when it crosses to your artery, that's where it starts blocking your arteries, and your heart will start having failures. Once the heart fails, that's it. You're done. Do not rely on what people post. Do not rely on what you say. You got to rely on information that you collect. I'm going to show you the data of how people are planning their expeditions. In the 1980s, many activities came into the game, and that contributes directly and indirectly to many world economies. So hiking has been one of the most common activities that people have been doing. The second one has been camping. In camping, the most frequent accident that happen is burn. I've seen people go for camping. They bring a whole bottle of fuel. They pour it on the fire, and someone get burned. Of course, there's ethics that is being done by a company called Leave No Trace, which is under the United Nations World Tourism Organization, which I'm going to talk about. Climbing has been very popular in the coming years. Orienteering, caving, trail running, mountain biking. So all these activities became very popular. In the UAE, for the last 6 years, there has been a super growth of adventure tourism, which means there's job for everybody. There has been more retail shops. There has been more opportunity for people to learn and also to get a job to feed their families. So therefore, this industry is growing from schools to university to companies to outdoor shops and retails. And I'm going to show you the data of the adventure tourism. Who knows when you go camping where to put the door of your tent? I put my tent here. Where would you choose to put the door of your tent? Opposite? Opposite the airflow. Clever man. This guy is very good. Many people go camping. They said, I'm going to put my door for sunrise. I want to have the sunrise or the sunset. But what happened, there's a very strong wind that came at night that blew the tent away. I've got friends that tent went into the lake because he left it and the wind comes inside and the tent goes away. There are many things to learn from. It looks beautiful, the picture. But to reach to that destination, we had to walk 6 hours and a half to get that exclusive experience that we're looking for. We went to this lake. It cost us 3 days of walk to see that lake. We went to that place. It takes us 2 days and a half to reach here. Same for here. When you rely on these pictures, you want to take the same and post it. You say, oh, I want to look cool. But it's not easy. You got to train for it, and there are steps that you need to follow, which I'm going to also share with you. Korfakan, Fujairah, Ras Al Khaimah, Al Quwaim, Abu Dhabi, Jebel Hafid. This is what adventure tourism is doing positively to the economy of these Emirates. A few years ago, Jebel Jais was just a mountain. In 2016, we start developing routes, we start developing climbing routes and putting spots, putting it as a branding. And today, Jebel Jais is a global brand that everybody knows about it. But who's benefiting from it? We are promoting cultural diversity and indigenous people of this area. Because Ras Al Khaimah, Hajar mountain itself, have various tribes around the mountain. Who knows about it? Shehi, that's right. So the Shehi has been living in the mountain for thousands and thousands of years. And the mountain of Ras Al Khaimah is not Jebel Jais. Jebel Jais is the peak. But do you know where the peak is found? Who has been to the real peak of Jebel Jais? Honestly, you've been there. To the peak. Have you been to the real peak? The real peak of Jebel Jais is in the border of Oman. You can't access to it. The low peak is in UAE. The low peak is in UAE. The highest peak is in Oman. Did you know that? You know? Okay. The second thing is, when we're going to the areas, one other thing which is very common now, which is the use of plastic. Adventure tourism is related to sustainable travel. When we talk about sustainable travel, we're talking about long-term goals in maintaining the environment, maintaining the mountain itself, or the places that we're going. There has been a huge trend. There has been so many water bottles and water companies that came along the way that promoting this water with low salt, high calcium, and we're buying it. But when we're buying it, we're destroying the environment unconsciously. So what we try to do as professionals guide is we always encourage people to fill up the water from their cars and carry the bottles which we're not going to throw away. Because if you buy an expensive bottle, you're not going to throw it. Unfortunately, if you go to many places around the world, plastic are killing a lot of animals. And that's what ADNEC is all about today, is talking about sustainability. The environmental agency, they're talking about it. And you need to encourage, you are the future. You are the people who's going to educate, teach, and transmit the knowledge of sustainable travel. The next point, leave only memories behind. There has been a practice. People go to villagers in the mountains and take pictures standing on the house and camping in these grounds without asking for permission, which is not very correct. So now Russell Kema is putting a couple of ethics about that. Protecting the animals. You see people, they are feeding bananas and fruits to animals and goats in the mountain. Is that okay? Is that okay or not? It's not right. The animal lives in his natural environment and habitat. He has nowhere to find his food and what he needs to eat. When we start feeding the animals, they start getting used to be fed. Neil is an expert in that. They start getting used to be fed. So whenever they see a human being, they will start approaching and looking for food. So they are losing slowly the organic way of them to be fed and find their own food. And that's something that we need to stop as well. Supporting the local economies. When you go to Korfakan, a few years ago, Bouzayed was developing the Korfakan Trail. And I know when he was developing it, many people was not believing. Today, Korfakan has gone up, and it's having monthly approximately 5,000 to 7,000 people hiking on that trail. And that is supporting a lot of the economies, which is the shops, the petrol stations, the beach, and all of these areas. So the next point is the adventure travel. So what I keep talking to people is to keep it simple. Hello, His Excellency. Keep it simple, go back to basic, respect the terrains, be hospitable and kind to nature. What I'm trying to tell you here is whenever you're going with your family either to the desert, you're going to the forest, you're going to the mountain, or wherever you go, just make sure you respect the nature. Leave the place how you got it. But very often they go camping, and then you see people who start taking the charcoal and throw it down inside of the sand, leave the car with plastics, and they think somebody will pick it up. But actually, there's nobody to pick it up. Stay on trails. How many people have gone to various trails in Europe? You've been in Europe, Switzerland, Bulgaria, France, Italy. All these routes have been made purposely for villagers that used to travel in the areas. And these routes are very sustainable, means nobody is going to walk on the left and the right because we don't affect the plants which is here. If we start creating new routes in any environment, we are destroying the plants, the habitat of the animals, and also the soil itself that don't become fertile. Because at the end of the day, we want the place to be sustainable. There are many factors why we do that, because if somebody is injured inside of this area, it's easy to correct the person. But most importantly, do not disturb the environment. So, talking about sports, adventure, and tourism, this is a statistics from the United Nations World Tourism Organization. In 2018, there has been 436,000 recorded accidents around the world, whether it's biking, kayaking, hiking, camping. 2019, 527,000. So you could see there's a huge difference of 110,000 approximately from the growth. But last year, the UN WTO has got only 25,000. Why do you think this number has gone down? COVID. So you could see that the more people stay home, the less accident happened, and the more death is reducing around the world. Most of the cases are due to drowning. Very often, people take a kayak. Warwick is a professional, he can tell us about it. They take a kayak and they go with friends, they have a life jacket on, but nobody has said they don't know how to swim until they found in the water, and that's where accident happened. So, whoever is traveling around the world, there are various ways that they make their bookings. The number one is they do research online. 69% of people has said most of their research for their trips are online. 64% get recommended by a friend. Book an airfare and hotel, 36%. Watch a travel program is only 28%. Consulted newspapers, 26%. Visited a travel agency is only 25%. These numbers tell you that people are not willing to pay an agency to take them. They are only willing to do a research online and go on their own. But if we keep researching online and go on our own, we're going to kill all the business. There will be no travel agency. There will be no company existing. We're not supporting the local community. A professional guide is somebody who takes at least 5 years to train in order to be able to become a certified guide. It's not easy, and it costs a lot of money to be certified. The most dangerous one is here. It tells you somebody, 12%, did not prepare to go on a trip. But actually, this number is not real. Based on the statistics of 527,000 people that got injured and rescued, is only 12% on that. But imagine the volume of people who are traveling. So, I'm not going to bore you, I'm going to share that with you, but this is important. Sustainable tourism is the lowest numbers of people traveling in that industry. Ecotourism is this number 2. Number 3 is conservation tourism, and the last one is adventure tourism. Every single banks, insurance companies, travel agencies, you can look on your phone, everybody's putting a scenery of a mountain and a waterfall or nature behind it. Have you seen it? Most of the advertising nowadays. So it tells you there is job for that industry. At the current moment in the UAE, there's a huge shortage of certified people that are being looked to work here. Everyone, every park, every industries are looking for certified people to work with. Even Neil, in his industries, it's not easy to find somebody certified. Very difficult. There's more people going to other industries than thinking about this. If you want to be part of that, there's so much job. And I'm serious about it. There's so much recruitment going on, and we don't have enough certified people. So, talking about the growth. The first one, we want to attract the high-value customers to the UAE. Secondly, we want to support the local communities. Third, we want to encourage sustainable practices and destination economies, their people and the environment. How do you think we can do that? What is the best way we can support all of these lines. Ria. What do you think we can do to support that, Warwick? What about you? No one? All right. The environmental agencies, whether it's the EPAA from Sharjah, the RACTDA from Ras Al Khaimah, and the environmental agencies of Abu Dhabi, they are all working around this. It's easy to take a backpack and say, I'm going for a hike, I'm going for a camping or a trail running. But there are specific guidelines that you need to follow through. You can't just go and call a helicopter after 1 hour. Gears. I'll tell you a very little story. I had a friend, we were going on an expedition in 2016. We said we're going to Switzerland. We had a list of equipment. We put a list of 10 gears. We said we're going to have that to go. My friend, he came with 2 bags. His weight when we reached the airport was 42 kilo. When we reached Switzerland, we start packing to go on the trip. He carried only 7 kilo out of 42 kilos. Basically what happened, he overpacked. And he spent so much money in materials, he thought every day he got to change his pants, changing everything. It's completely different when you go outdoors. What I'm trying to tell you here is whenever you do a trip, there are 3 simple steps. When you do the trip planning, you train for it according to the trip that you're going to do. And the third one, taking the essentials. If you go online, Adventure Smart Canada, you're going to have a look. You're going to see all the informations which are free for you to take it and share it with your friends. How do you plan an outdoor trip? The basic food, fire, shelter. Can you start a fire without a lighter? I know you do. I know you do. Can you start a fire without a lighter if you go outdoors? Can you? No. Can you cook food without a pot? No? Can you create a shelter without a camping tent? All of that is found outside. And this is what we teach, this is what we train people on, is how you can start a fire without a lighter, how can you build a shelter in the outdoors, and how do you cook your food without a pot, a pan, or anything. Using a stone, so Neil and Warwick, they know it. We train people in that. We take you for 2 days. We give you 1 backpack, and you got to survive for 2 days. Can you do that? If I invite you for it, would you come for it? You'd come? I'll take your phone number and your details right after this workshop. I'm going to take you for it. I'm going to play a small video. I want to tell you that adventure, you don't need to win a medals. You don't need to be an Instagram blogger. You don't need to be an influencer. All you need to do is to go out there, enjoy the beauty that surrounds us, protect it for others, and take some pictures, bring it home, share it with your friends. You don't need to have 1,000 likes. All you need is to have this memory in your heart that you can always remember whenever you're going back there. This video will tell you about a girl talking to his grandfather. His grandfather was a very successful man. He had everything in life. But when he was on the bed, dying, he regrets that he never went to do any adventure or go above or beyond any of what he knows. Can you play the video for me? Oh, sorry. Video.
Hey, are you there?
Yes.
Visiting my grandpa opened my eyes.
You know, child, I don't regret a single experience in my life, but I do regret all the ideas I never made a reality and the opportunities I turned my back to. The world has so much more to offer than your everyday routine. Don't make the same mistakes I did. Wake up, child, and make your life unforgettable.
So I did. I stepped out of my comfort zone and made adventure my new reality. I want to experience the unknown, something new, something remarkable, I thought. I want to just do it. Time spent and lessons learned. I continue to surround myself with the right people for me. It's human nature wanting to explore. I want to climb mountains and free myself from all the weight I carry. Because each glimpse of freedom is worth so much more than any penny in my pocket. I want to create unforgettable moments, experience with the people that mean the most. Moments that turn into memories and never forgotten. I love to create things like this, or that. I want to be creative in my kind of way. There will always be hard times. And then, there will be times like this. I want to be able to say, I danced under the Nordic lights and experience the unbelievable places the world has to offer. I want to hold untouched nature in my hands. I want to ride on wild horses, just lose myself, feel the adventure, discover myself in a new way. I want to feel what it is to be free. Grandpa, you're going to be proud of me.
How do you feel? How do you feel about this moment in life? It's great sense of achievement. And this is what I've been talking to you about, is the environment, the beauty that's around us. Whether it's a cultural travel, whether it's an adventure travel, whether it's a peak and extreme adventure, we are always going to be surrounded by this beauty, not by the buildings that we live in. Go out there, live it, appreciate it. This is where we come from. We come from this background. Years and years ago, our ancestors never had a house. They were living outdoors. It's something that we have in our blood. It's something that we have in our heart. It's something that we know, but we forget it. Bring it back. Go back out there and take pictures and enjoy that. Come back home full of memories, joy, happiness, and unforgettable memories. Thank you. Questions from anybody? Hello, sir. Any questions from anyone? Yes, Mohammed. About the Highlanders. Yes, they do. Genetic. Yes, from years and years, they were living inside of these areas. Like I said, the oxygen level is very low, so therefore, their heart and their system, their lung has got very much bigger, therefore they can live to very low oxygen. But we cannot. We as lowlanders, we cannot live there. We can train, it takes time. It takes about a year, maybe more. Sometimes it takes 5 years over, because our body cannot cope to it. We can go, come down, acclimatize, go up and come down. But we cannot live for a very long period of time. That's why people go to highland areas to train. They start very gradually. They go to 3,000 meters. Next time they do 5,000. After they go 6,000. After they go 7,000, and then Everest. But you can't go from lowland to Everest. It's death, basically. You can't. Yeah. Yes, sir. Maybe December. Not sure yet. Maybe we're gonna go in December to Rwenzori. So it's still on. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to all the media.